Good morning, fifth graders, and happy Monday. Today we're going to review for your Unit 4 test, which is tomorrow. I know that you're going to do an incredible job on this video and on your test, and so does Mr. Smiles. Let's dive right in. We first studied fractions as division problems. Remember, a division problem can be written as a fraction. The dividend is the numerator, and the divisor is the denominator. A fraction can also be written as a division problem. Numerator divided by denominator. When you're solving word problems, remember, the number being split up is the dividend or the numerator. The number that you're dividing by, the number in each group or the number of groups, is the divisor or the denominator. Make sure your notes look like mine. Now let's do some practice problems. Write each division problem as a fraction. So, 3 divided by 4, that's the same as 3 over 4. Dividend over divisor. Now you try one. How would I write 5 divided by 2 as a fraction? 5 divided by 2 is 5 halves. How would I write 7 divided by 10 as a fraction? 7 divided by 10 is 7 tenths. Now let's write each fraction as a division problem. 3 over 8. Remember, it's numerator divided by denominator, so that would be 3 divided by 8. How would I write 5 fourths as a division problem? 5 fourths is 5 divided by 4. How would I write 8 ninths as a division problem? 8 ninths is 8 divided by 9. Now you try a few. Which statement is true? Go ahead and choose the correct answer now. The correct answer is B. 5 over 7 equals 5 divided by 7. Which statement is not true? Go ahead and choose the correct answer now. The correct answer here is also B. 7 divided by 2 is not 2 sevenths, it's 7 halves. We may see this skill in word problems. Lamont used 5 pounds of almonds to make 3 bags of trail mix. He put the same amount of almonds in each bag. How many pounds of almonds were in each bag? When I see a problem like this, I know it's division because he's splitting up the almonds into 3 bags of trail mix. Which number is being split up here? 5 pounds of almonds are being split up. So what's our division problem? It's 5 divided by 3. How do I write 5 divided by 3 as an improper fraction? 5 divided by 3 is 5 thirds. Go ahead and change that into a mixed number using division. Well, 3 goes into 5 once, with 2 left over. So the answer is 1 and 2 thirds. Let's do another. Dariana had 3 king cakes. She let 5 friends split the king cakes. How many king cakes did each friend receive? What's being split up in this problem? The 3 king cakes are being split up. What division problem could I use to represent this problem? 3 divided by 5. How would I write 3 divided by 5 as a fraction? 3 divided by 5 is 3 fifths. We also talked about multiplying fractions by whole numbers. To multiply fractions by whole numbers, multiply the numerator by the whole number. The denominator stays the same. So let's look at an example. What is 3/7 times 5? Well, first I need to multiply the numerator times the whole number. What's 3 times 5? It's 15. The denominator stays 7. Now I can change that into a mixed number. Go ahead and change that into a mixed number using division. I can divide 15 by 7. 7 goes into 15 twice, with 1 left over. So the answer is 2 and 1/7. Now let's do another example. Deniran ran 2/3 mile each day for 7 days. How many miles did Deniran run? This is a multiplication problem because he's repeatedly running miles. What's 2/3 times 7, written as an improper fraction? It's 14 over 3. Go ahead and change that into an improper fraction, into a mixed number. Now, let's see how you did. When I divide 14 by 3, 3 goes into 14 4 times. 4 times 3 is 12, with 2 left over. So the answer is 4 and 2/3 miles. Let's do another. Mr. Gibson was making cakes. He put 1/2 cup of sugar into each of 5 bowls. How much sugar did Mr. Gibson use in all of his cakes? Here, Mr. Gibson is repeatedly adding 1/2 cup of sugar 5 times. What's 1/2 times 5, written as an improper fraction? It's 5/2. Go ahead and change that into a mixed number now. Let's see how you did. When I divide 5 divided by 2, 2 goes in 2 times, with 1 left over. So the answer is 2 1/2 cups of sugar. We also talked about finding a fraction of a whole number. To find a fraction of a whole number, multiply the whole number by the fraction. Let's do some examples. 16 students tried out for the volleyball team. 3/4 of the students made the team. How many students made the team? So I need to find 3/4 of 16. That's the same as multiplying 3/4 times 16. When I multiply 3/4 times 16, what's the result as an improper fraction? It's 48 over 4. 16 times 3 is 48, and the denominator stays the same. Now I can divide to change that into a mixed number or whole number. What's 48 divided by 4? Well, 4 goes into 4 one time. When I subtract, there's none left over, and I bring down the 8. 4 goes into 8 two times. When I subtract, there's none left over. So the answer is 12. 12 students made the team. Try another. There are 35 pieces of chocolate in a bag. 4/5 of the chocolates are milk chocolate and the rest are dark chocolate. How many are milk chocolate? I need to find 4/5 of 35, or 4/5 times 35. Remember, if you need to do the multiplication out to the side, you can. What's 4/5 times 35, written as an improper fraction? Well, 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 2 more is 140. So the answer is 140 over 5. The denominator stays the same. Now divide to change that into a whole number or mixed number. What's 140 divided by 5? 5 goes into 14 twice. When I subtract, there's 4 left over, and I can bring down my 0. 5 goes into 48 times. So the answer is 28. 28 of the chocolates are milk chocolate. Now you try one on your own. There are 18 marbles in a bag. 4/9 of the marbles are green. How many marbles are green? Go ahead and solve that problem now. Let's see how you did. We need to multiply 4/9 times 18. When I do that, 18 times 4 is 72. So I get 72 over 9. I can divide to change that into a mixed number or whole number. When I divide, the answer is 8. 8 of the marbles are green. We also talked about multiplying fractions by fractions. When I multiply a fraction by a fraction, I can multiply across. I can multiply the numerators together, and I can multiply the denominators together. So let's try a few. What's 1/3 times 1/4? Well, what's 1 times 1? It's 1. What's 3 times 4? It's 12. So 1/3 times 1/4 is 1/12. Try another. What's 2/5 times 3/5? Go ahead and solve that problem now. 2/5 times 3/5 is 6 over 25. What's 2/3 times 4/7? 2/3 times 4/7 is 8 over 21. We also talked about dividing whole numbers by unit fractions. We can draw models to help us do this. To divide a whole number by a unit fraction, start your model with the whole number. We always start with the dividend. Then we cut each whole into the same number of pieces as the denominator, and we count the pieces. Let's try one. 4 divided by 1/2. So how many 1/2s are in 4? Well, I can start by drawing. What should I start by drawing my model? I should start by drawing 4 wholes. How many pieces do I need to cut each whole into? I need to cut them each into 2 pieces, because 2 is the denominator. So how many pieces are there? There are 8. The correct answer is 8. There are 8 1/2s inside of 4. Now you try one. What's 6 divided by 1/4? Go ahead and enter your answer in the box now. The correct answer is 24. We also saw word problems dividing whole numbers by unit fractions. Paul has 8 pounds of clay in art class. He is making cups. Each cup takes 1/3 pound of clay. How many cups can he make? Well, what's being split up in this problem? 8 pounds of clay is being split up. So I need to divide 8 divided by 1/3. Go ahead and do that now. Then enter your answer in the box. The correct answer is 24. We also divided unit fractions by whole numbers. Again, we can use models to do this. Remember, we'll start our model with the dividend. In this case, it would be the unit fraction. We cut the fraction into as many pieces as the whole number. That's the number of groups we're splitting it into. The numerator is going to be 1 because we'll keep one group, and we can count the new denominator. So let's start with 1/2 divided by 3. What would I start my model with? I would start my model with 1/2. How many pieces do I need to split 1/2 into? I need to split it into 3 pieces, so I need to draw 2 lines and keep one group. What's 1/2 divided by 3 written as a fraction? It's 1/6. I can see that there are 6 pieces now in my fraction. Go ahead and do 1/4 divided by 6. Enter your answer in the box. The correct answer is 1 over 24. We also saw word problems. Miss Tramatozzi and her 4 brothers shared 1/4 of a cake evenly. What fraction of the cake did each person receive? What's being split up in this problem? 1/4 is being split up in this problem. How many groups am I dividing 1/4 into? Well, Miss Traumatosi and her 3 brothers make 4 people, so I need to solve 1/4 divided by 4. Go ahead and solve that problem now, and enter your answer in the box. The correct answer is 1/16. Each person got 1/16 of the cake. We also talked about multiplying decimals. Remember, to multiply decimals, first count the number of digits behind the decimal point in the factors. Then, multiply as if the decimals were whole numbers. After you've done that, place the same number of digits behind the decimal point in the product. Let's do our first example. 3 65/100 times 6. When I multiply 3 65/100 times 6, how many digits are going to be behind the decimal point? There will be 2 digits behind the decimal point. Now I can multiply. What's 365 times 6? Well, 6 times 5 is 30, 6 times 6 is 36, plus 3 more is 39. 6 times 3 is 18, plus 3 is 21. Where should I place my decimal in my answer? I need 2 digits to be behind the decimal point, so it should go between the 1 and the 9. The correct answer is 21 90/100. Now let's try another. 9 2/10 times 1 4/10. How many digits are going to be behind the decimal? There will be 2 digits behind the decimal. Now I can multiply like normal. What's 92 times 14? It's 1,288. Where should I place the decimal? I should place the decimal between the 2 and the 8. So 2 digits are behind the decimal point. The answer is 12 88/100. Now you try one on your own. What's 5 25/100 times 3 4/10? Go ahead and solve that problem now. The correct answer is 17 850,000, or 17 85/100. Remember, those are the same thing. We also divided decimals by whole numbers. Remember, when we divide a decimal by a whole number, we can first bring the decimal point straight up. To ensure we're dividing in the right place. Then we can follow the steps of the algorithm. Let's do an example. What's 4 2/10 divided by 6? First, we need to bring the decimal point straight up. Okay. Can 6 go into 4? No, so I need to place a 0 in the ones place. I can start dividing with 42/10. How many times does 6 go into 42? 6 goes into 42 7 times. 7 times 6 is 42, so the answer is just 7/10. Let's do another. What's 6 32/100 divided by 4? Remember to bring the decimal straight up. 4 can go into 6. How many times does 4 go into 6? It goes in 1 time. What's 1 times 4? It's 4. When I subtract, how many do I have left over? I have 2. I can bring down my 3. How many times does 4 go into 23? 4 goes into 23 5 times. What's 5 times 4? It's 20. When I subtract, how many do I have left over? I have 3. I can bring down my 2. How many times does 4 go into 32? 4 goes into 32 8 times. What's 8 times 4? It's 32. When I subtract, I have none left over, so my answer is 1 58/100. Now you try one on your own. What's 7 and 25 hundredths? Divided by 5. Don't forget to bring your decimals straight up. Go ahead and solve that problem now. The correct answer is 1 and 45 hundredths. We also talked about dividing decimals by decimals. Remember, when the dividend and divisor end in the same place value, you can create a whole number problem. Let's look at one. 4 and 5 tenths divided by 5 tenths. That's the same as saying 45 tenths divided by 5 tenths. Those units are the same, so we can just say that that's the same as 45 divided by 5. What's 45 divided by 5? It's 9. So the correct answer is 9. 84 hundredths divided by 14 hundredths. We can say that that's the same as 84 divided by 14 because the units are the same. Start by listing your multiples of 14. Go ahead and do that now. Check your multiples with mine. Now we can divide. What's 84 divided by 14? It's 6. The correct answer is 6. The last thing we talked about was the relative size of the product. Remember, if I want to determine the relative size of the product, I should look at the second factor and see if it's less than 1, greater than 1, or equal to 1. If it is a proper fraction, the product is less than the original number because it's less than 1. If it is a whole number, mixed number, or improper fraction, it's greater than 1, so the product is greater. If it is a fraction with the same numerator and denominator, the product is equal because it is equal to 1. So let's look at these three examples. Select all the numbers that Logan could multiply by 54,216 to get a product less than 54,216. That means I'm looking for proper fractions. Which answer choices are correct? A is correct, and D is correct. Both of those are less than 1. They're proper fractions. Look at number 2. Select all the numbers that Logan could multiply by 54,216 to get a product greater than 54,216. Here I'm looking for numbers greater than 1, so whole numbers, mixed numbers, and improper fractions. What are the correct answers? The correct answers are C, E, and F. Now look at number 3. Select all the numbers Logan could multiply by 54,216 to get a product equal to 54,216. I'm looking for numbers equal to 1, so 1 or fractions with the same numerator and denominator. The correct answer is B. You've done a great job on this video. Raise your hand to show the teacher in the room your score. Then you can take your exit ticket and get on ST Math.